Township Planning Commission meeting of March 23rd. We'd like to begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Keith, would you take roll, please?
Sure. Larry Fox.
Here.
Jeff Newsom.
Here.
Joe Kalani.
Here.
Sue Grissom.
Here.
Mike Mitchell.
Here.
And Mr. Murphy's absent.
All right. Thank you. Next up, approval of our meeting agenda.
So moved. Support.
Motion from Commissioner Kalani, second from Commissioner Newsom. Are there any changes? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next up, 5A, Planning Commission meeting minute approval for January 26, 2017.
So moved. Support.
Motion from Commissioner Mitchell, second from Commissioner Newsom. Are there any changes? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next up, Planning Commission meeting minutes for February 9th, 2017.
So moved.
Support.
Motion from Commissioner Grissom, second from Commissioner Kalani. Are there any changes? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Item 6, call to the public. Anyone this evening? Nope. Okay. We have no public hearing, so we'll skip item 7 and we'll move right on to item 8A, which is site plan application number 17-002, amendment to the Walnut Ridge Estate site plan. Are you here? You are. You want to come up front? And we're going to start by turning the floor over to our planning director.
Okay.
And then we'll probably bring the light down and interrogate you. Okay? Troy, it's all yours.
Yeah. Let me try to... I don't think I want this one. This is a zoning map of Hartland Township. Let me give a little bit of background on the project, where it is, what it is, and then what's going on and what the process is. This is, again, a zoning map of Hartland Township with M59 going through the center here, 23 going north and south, somewhat in the center. The property we're talking about is north of Venture Church, way over in this location near the western boundary with Hartland Township. And it's in this PD zoning classification because the property was developed as part of a planned development agreement. And what the proposal involves is an amendment to that subdivision that's in here. Let me show I'm going to get out of the site plan here and zoom out. So this is a site plan with M59 at the bottom of the screen. You can see Venture Church here, and then the access drive goes back in, and then this is the Walnut Ridge subdivision here. And this was approved by the Planning Commission. The site plan was approved as part of the PD, and then the PD agreement itself was approved by the Planning Commission and the Township Board. And as they are starting to do their construction and taking some interest from people that want to build back there, they're finding that the market for some of the homes is a little different than they had thought. There's more of an interest for 4-stall garages and a little bit bigger house. And the setbacks that are depicted on here, and I'll just zoom in on one lot, for example. I'm just picking on lot 7. You can see the building envelope that is part of this site plan. It's difficult to fit the homes that they're getting a lot of requests for within these setbacks. And so what they're requesting to do, and I'm going to switch to the proposed plan, and I'll zoom in on lot 7 again, is to modify the rear setbacks. So you can see this is the Unit 7 here, and then the building envelope for Unit 7 would allow for construction of a home to go further back on the lot than what it currently does. And what they've done essentially is selected, not every lot is proposed for these amendments. What they've done is selected lots that back up to common space, so this wouldn't necessarily impact any neighboring homes. These lots that back up to an existing subdivision, they're not being proposed for any amendment. And in the staff report, I've outlined exactly which lots are included and what those differences are. I don't want to get into the specifics of it right here, but if we need to reference it, that's all outlined in the staff report. So that's one of the proposed changes, is to modify the setback limitations for constructing new homes on these lots. The units themselves remain exactly the same shape, the same size. It's just the dimensional setbacks. The second thing that they've asked to amend, as they're now starting to gather up their landscape materials, is some of the landscape species that were part of the approved landscape plan are turning out to be difficult for them to get. And they've asked if it's possible to substitute an equivalent species on some of theirs. And I've spent some time talking with our staff person, that's a landscape architect, as well as some other knowledgeable people that are involved in landscape architecture, and they've indicated that those are fairly similar substitutes. So they've requested to modify their landscape plan by replacing certain species, and again, those are outlined in a list in the staff report for you. So those are the two changes that are being proposed. Since this is a site plan that was approved by the Planning Commission, this only involves amending the site plan by the Planning Commission. It does not require having to go in front of the Township Board for any further approval. And with that, I'll just leave it open for any questions or comments you might have.
Okay. Did you want to add anything to that?
He did great.
Did he? Awesome. Okay. Well, Planning Commission, why don't we just take a look? We've only really got the two topics. We've got a staff letter here dated March 16th. The first topic to talk about would be the rear yard setbacks. Are there any questions or comments in regards to that particular topic?
Other than, is this consistent with what we've done in the past, where have we ever had this type of request before from any site condominiums?
I don't know that we've had this particular request, but with a PD you can waive and establish whatever standards you are, and so certainly you've got some condominiums don't have any particular setbacks, and so they're not really on lots, they're just that
right.
building in that development. And other ones, it seems as though that what they're talking about, the homes are of a similar size to what are in other subdivisions, and could they come back and reconfigure this and make it much more work to end up in the same result? I think they could.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we had an informal meeting with him, as Troy probably mentioned, or those that have asked me, and we felt that as long as he was looking at the properties that backed up to open space, none of the neighboring properties, that it would probably be his best avenue to come back here with that.
I do have a question for the applicant, though, just out of curiosity, I guess. What does this do for the average value of the home for you?
So the value?
Selling
garage. So part of the problem is what happens is when we go from a 3-car garage, and someone wants a 4-car garage, it's bumping us into the setbacks, taking us outside of that envelope. So
because you've got side-facing garages, right?
Correct.
So can you give me an answer on the question, like what does it do for the average home value in this development?
Do you know how much you charge for that fourth bay, or?
$10,000.
$10,000? Okay. On the same envelope, or the same square lot size and all that?
Correct.
Yep. Okay.
And that price could vary depending on what the exterior features are. But
Obviously, yeah. Okay.
I have a question. Sure. Did you guys look at kind of just now what that does to like the lot coverage? I know like in the like conventional zoning for the suburban residential and the medium density, which kind of fall in between, talks about a maximum of like a 20% coverage. Has that been looked at, or
Yeah.
are we still within that, or does
Well, I can't answer specifically because we're not looking at
individual lots?
individual lots with a proposed house. I don't have a plan that shows exactly how the house fits on the lot,
Yeah.
so to speak. So, but that was one of the topics that we mentioned with the applicant as part of.
The agreement that they'd hold to that maximum lot coverage?
So I can't say specifically how this changes, but the applicant, and when the applicant came in, he did not show us a plot plan
Sure.
of every single lot. I think Lot 7 is the one he used as an example, and I don't think it really changed that much. The houses are a little bit bigger,
Sure.
but they're almost deeper.
Right.
And not necessarily taking up more of a footprint.
Right.
I don't know if that makes sense. At
Can
least
I
on the
add to that?
Yeah.
Sure.
So what's happening is the house, the garage sets out front, so you kind of have, for your mind, a L-shaped house.
Sure.
So when you add that next 10-foot section,
Sure.
bumping that out into over the setbacks.
You know, I'm clear on
So,
that.
okay.
I was just, what lot coverage means is the footprint, the square footage, that now you've got that extra one or two more bays
Right.
of garage. That's going to use up more square footage. So when you look at the lot, just I was hoping that we could say that the ratio still won't be greater than 20% coverage.
And I haven't done the math.
So that would just be
Answer that.
maybe something we could suggest to add or something, so we don't exceed that, if we want, just as a comment. You know, because I know there's a million different footprints you can do. I'm just thinking of how much footprint is landing on the land.
Just looking at the buildable area versus the lot size here, I think it's going to be well over 20%.
Just a question.
Well, I think if you're looking at and saying he builds in this entire envelope,
Not the entire envelope, but even if it's only half of that,
yeah,
it's going to be over 20%.
Well, his envelope isn't actually much bigger than it was. He just pushed the building envelope back. It's in the chart.
Yeah.
Depends on what it is, which lot it is.
So this is the proposed, let me show you, if I can,
Yeah,
the
that chart.
existing. So this is the existing,
Square footage is about the
and
same.
there's the proposed. So the square footage of the lot's exactly the same, but you can just see that difference.
Yeah.
Just
I
that
realize that.
one's on the eastern edge there didn't change.
Didn't change, right.
Right. What's the, I can't recall, and I don't know if you can answer this, but what is the, what are you planning to do with the open area? Is that going to be manicured or mowed grass, or is that going to be natural?
It's grass, a park area for kids.
Just there.
No big buildings on it or anything.
Yeah, but I mean, it's all going to be mowed and planted, or is it going to be like natural?
It'll be maintained, just like our landscaping plan here. Do you have the landscaping on there?
Let me see if I can. So this is a landscape plan.
So that center area?
Yeah. And the rest of it on the outside is going to be kind of natural?
Correct, and trees and meeting the requirements of...
Yeah, I think that goes a long way because like the runoff rate between hard surface and grass is not much different, right? And compared to like a natural area. So if you're looking at, as we all are, if you're concerned about, the runoff in there, depending on lot coverage, I think if you're building a bit more than 20%, I don't think it's going to really make that big of a difference. It depends on how you're maintaining all of that runoff.
Okay.
That's the way I look at it, yeah.
Further questions, comments? The next item we had to talk about was the trees and the substitution for landscaping materials.
I agree. I think the substitutions are equal, and they're well chosen.
Hard to get river birds.
No, not hard to get river birch.
So if you guys are comfortable with that suggestion, it sounds like you are. Any other questions or comments? If not, I believe you will find, if you're so inclined, a recommended motion on the bottom of packet page number 24.
We can use this one.
Oh, well, there's also that memo. I'm sorry. It's probably the same, but...
Move to approve site plan application number 17-002, a request to amend the approved site plan for Walnut Ridge Estates PD to reduce the rear setbacks for 49 condominium units and to amend the previously approved landscape plan to modify the tree species subject to the following conditions. One, approval is based on the site plan at sheet C3 prepared by Boss Engineering dated February 20th, 2017. And number two, the applicant shall submit a revised landscape plan that reflects the approved tree substitution.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion to approve from Commissioner Voigt, a second from Commissioner Mitchell. Is there any further discussion?
I just have a question. Are we
Yep.
approving or are we recommending approval?
This is an approval, is it not?
Yep.
This is an approve, yep.
Okay.
Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good luck over there. Next up, item 9, call to the public. Anyone? None. Okay. Planners report. Troy, do you have anything this evening?
Just want to update the Planning Commission that the Ordinance Review Committee did have a meeting here a little while ago. We discussed the private road standards, just kind of outlining some of the concerns that were raised to the township from some of the developers. We also discussed some background information on gas canopy lighting, some documents on some lighting and what the foot candles might be were distributed to the Ordinance Review Committee to kind of look at and discuss. So in addition, the Township Board had approved the amendment to the special event ordinance, which exempts the farmers market and the Winterfest as two events that was initially discussed at the Ordinance Review Committee. So that is one topic that is now off the list. Actually, that was two separate topics. And in addition to that, the Site Plan Review Committee has had a few meetings as well. And we have one coming up next week to discuss a concept plan. I don't know if the building has a formal name, so I just refer to it as the Dairy Queen building. They're looking to redevelop that site. So that's about all I've got.
Okay. Committee reports or questions for Troy? Anyone? Motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
Support?
That would be from Commissioner Newsom and Commissioner Voigt. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thanks.